Welcome to Church History Hub, where we uncover how Christianity shaped the world we live in today. Subscribe now to join our journey and uncover epic church history. Today, we're plunging into the heart of the First Crusade for one of its most legendary battles, the Siege of Antioch, which took place from 1097 to 1098. Imagine a weary band of crusaders, knights, peasants, and priests, facing a fortress city that stands between them and their holy mission to reclaim Jerusalem. Starvation, betrayal, and a mysterious relic called the Holy Lance await. Will their faith carry them through, or will the walls of Antioch spell their doom? Buckle up for an epic tale of grit, glory, and a touch of divine drama. Let's storm the gates. It's 1095, and Europe burns with holy fervor. At the Council of Clermont, Pope Urban II unleashes a fiery sermon, rallying Christians to liberate the Holy Land from Seljuk Turk control, a call sparked by Byzantine Emperor Alexios I's plea for aid against Muslim advances. The Turks, having seized Jerusalem in 1085, restrict Christian pilgrimages, and Urban's words, promising spiritual rewards and eternal glory, ignite a wildfire of zeal. Nobles, knights, fervent priests, and even ragged peasants answer, stitching crimson crosses onto their tunics and marching east toward Jerusalem, the sacred city where Christ walked. But first, they face Antioch, a towering fortress in modern-day Turkey, revered as the cradle where Jesus' followers were first called Christians. Its strategic perch on the Orontes River makes it the gateway to the Holy Land, but its defenses are the stuff of legend. Miles of Roman Byzantine walls, bristling with 400 towers, guarded by a fierce Turkish garrison under Governor Yagi Siyan, who stockpiles supplies and expels Christian leaders to defy the invaders. This is no Sunday stroll. It's a clash of faiths, armies, and unyielding resolve. Leading this ragtag holy army are larger-than-life figures, each a spark in the Crusade's fiery saga. Bohemond of Taranto, a towering Norman warrior with piercing eyes and a strategist's cunning, is the Crusade's resident schemer, always sniffing out opportunity like a medieval mastermind. Raymond IV of Toulouse, a grizzled noble with a heart ablaze for the cause, pours his wealth and zeal into the mission, but often locks horns with Bohemond over tactics and glory. Godfrey of Bouillon, a pious knight from Lorraine, wields quiet resolve, his devotion earning him the troops' loyalty. Robert of Normandy, son of William the Conqueror, brings battle-hardened grit, fresh from England's turbulent fields. And anchoring them all is Bishop Adhemar of Le Puy, the Pope's spiritual enforcer, a shepherd striving to keep this motley crew focused on God, not greed. In October 1097, about 40,000 crusaders, knights in gleaming chainmail, foot soldiers, and camp followers from fervent pilgrims to scrappy Tafurs, set up camp around Antioch's formidable walls after seizing the iron bridge over the Orontes. They've got siege towers, catapults, and dreams of Jerusalem's golden domes, but they're 3,000 miles from home, with supplies already thinning. Winter looms like a shadow, and troubles brewing faster than a storm over the Taurus Mountains. It's like signing up for a holy road trip and forgetting the rations, then realizing the road's blocked by a fortress. The siege kicks off with high hopes in October 1097. The Crusaders, buzzing with zeal, block Antioch's gates, raid nearby farms for grain, and unleash a barrage of stones from creaking catapults against the city's walls. But Antioch's no pushover. Its towering defenses, forged by Roman and Byzantine engineers, shrug off their assaults like a giant swatting flies. Governor Yagi Siyan, a cunning Seljuk warlord, orchestrates a brutal defense, his troops raining arrows, boiling pitch, and jagged rocks from the city's 400 towers. He even imprisons Patriarch John the Oxite and turns St. Paul's Cathedral into a stable to taunt the besiegers. Weeks drag into months. By winter, food vanishes. The Crusaders, shivering in their tents, nor on roots, leather, and, in rare, desperate cases, fanatical bands like the Taffurs resort to eating fallen foes. Chronicler Fulcher of Chartres wrote, "Many perished from hunger, and others fled in despair." Morale plummets. Desertions, including high-profile knights like Stephen of Blois, spike as hope fades. To make matters worse, a massive Turkish relief army under Kaboga, the fearsome Atabeg of Mosul, looms on the horizon, ready to crush the Crusaders in a merciless vice. The situation's so dire, some knights whisper in the flickering campfires, sowing doubt and questioning whether retaking Jerusalem really is part of God's providence. But Bohemond of Taranto, ever the cunning Norman, has a plan, because naturally he always does. While the Crusaders starve outside Antioch's walls, he's been quietly working Firuz, an Armenian Christian guard in the Tower of the Two Sisters, who's seething over Yagi Sian's harsh punishments for hoarding grain. For a hefty bribe and a promise of safety, Firuz agrees to betray the city. On the night of June 2nd, 1098, he lowers a rope ladder under cover of darkness. Bohemond's elite knights climb up, silent as shadows, and seize the gates. The Crusaders flood in, swords flashing under the moonlight, their war cries echoing through Antioch's narrow streets. By dawn on June 3rd, most of the city is theirs, though Yagi Sian's son, Shams ad-Dawla, clings to the citadel. The victory is brutal. A frenzied massacre claims thousands of Muslim and Christian residents alike, as the Crusaders, driven by hunger and zeal, spare few in the chaos. War in the 11th century wasn't exactly a courteous affair. Yagi Sian flees in panic, but is beheaded by local villagers. The Crusaders celebrate their hard-won prize, but the triumph is fleeting. Do you remember that Turkish relief army I mentioned earlier? The one that was going to reinforce the Muslim troops holding the city of Antioch? Well, they showed up. Days later, on June 7th, Kaboga's massive Seljuk army arrives, flipping the script. Now the Crusaders are trapped inside Antioch, surrounded, starving, and staring down a new siege. Talk about a divine plot twist. Enter Peter Bartholomew, a scruffy peasant from Provence with a wild claim. He claimed that St. Andrew, in a blazing vision, revealed the Holy Lance, the spear that pierced Jesus' side, buried beneath Antioch's Cathedral of St. Peter. On June 14th, 1098, the desperate Crusaders, spurred by his fervour, dig through the cathedral's floor and unearth a rusted spearhead. A convenient find. Bishop Adhemar of Le Puy, the Pope's shrewd legate, smells a rat, and Peter's later death in a 1099 trial by ordeal fuels doubts. But the starving, fractured troops don't care. They're electrified, clutching the relic like a divine beacon of hope. Historian Thomas Asbridge calls this a psychological masterstroke, welding a bickering army into a unified force. With the Holy Lance raised high, the Crusaders, led by Bohemond, resolved to confront Kaboga's massive army. On June 28th, some 20,000 march out of Antioch's bridge gate, barefoot and chanting psalms, priests waving the relic under a blazing sun. They're outnumbered at least 2-1 by Kaboga's 40,000-strong force, but their faith, or sheer desperation, burns unshakable. The Battle of the Orontes River erupts, with the Crusaders charging across the plain. Chronicles like the Gesta Francorum report visions of St. George, St. Mercurius, and St. Demetrius riding alongside them, spurring their zeal. Kaboga's army, overconfident and riven by rivalries, crumbles under the onslaught with emirs like Dukak of Damascus deserting in the middle of the fight. By dusk, the Turks are in full retreat, leaving Antioch secure in Crusader hands. The Siege of Antioch was a game-changer for the First Crusade, a thunderous victory that flung open the road to Jerusalem, captured in July 1099, and forged the Crusaders' legend as a force of divine will. But the triumph came with shadows. The massacre of thousands, Muslims and Christians alike, as chronicler Raymond of Aguilers grimly notes, left a dark stain on the victory. Squabbles over Antioch's rule erupted, with Bohemond of Taranto, ever the opportunist, claiming the city as its prince, defying oaths to Byzantine Emperor Alexios I and sparking bitter tensions. A possible typhus epidemic claimed Bishop Adhemar in August 1098, leaving the Crusaders spiritually adrift. The Holy Lance's authenticity, still debated. Scholars like Jonathan Riley Smith argue it was a morale-boosting prop, yet for the starving Crusaders, it was a blazing spark of hope in their darkest hour. The siege set a precedent for the Crusades' tangled legacy. Faith-fueled triumphs entwined with violence, ambition, and moral complexity. What's your take? Was the Holy Lance a divine miracle or a medieval morale boost? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep the conversation alive. Thanks for joining us on this epic dive into the Siege of Antioch. If you loved this tale of faith, betrayal, and battlefield miracles, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Church History Hub adventures. Next time, we'll unearth another chapter of the past that shaped our world. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe keep a snack handy, unlike those Crusaders. See you in the next video.